Sam, you all right over there?
You know, T, I'm not. I'm trying to finish this Hardwood Heroes crossword puzzle before we start the show.
Well, we're a team, so let me help you out. What's it asking for?
I appreciate that. It's an 8-letter word that describes when two teams face off in a tournament.
Sam, it's obvious. It's playoffs. It's literally what our whole show's about today.
You know, it was on the tip of my tongue. It's almost like we've been talking about it for weeks. Well, now that we have that figured out, we can start episode 6.
Welcome to episode 6, everybody. We are right in the midst of the playoff push.
It's win or go home from here on out, but before we get to all the action, let's wrap up the regular season. We must handle our first priority, and that is the TVC update.
We can't forget about our standings, so here's what we have now that the regular season is over. I'll start with the boys in the TVC Ohio. The Athens Bulldogs and the Alexander Spartans are on top of the conference with their records tied at 10-2. The rest of the rankings stay the same as the Meigs Marauders come in third in the conference, and Vinton County and Wellston finish up at 4-5, and following them in 6th and 7th spots are River Valley and Nelsonville-York. Now let's switch it over to the ladies. The Vinton County Lady Vikings were a dominant force in the conference this year. The Lady Buckeyes finished right behind them in the 2nd spot, with Alexander rounding out the 3rd. River Valley and Meigs look similar as the previous weeks in 4th and 5th, and last but not least, we have Athens and Wellston to round out the conference standings for the girls in the Ohio. Sam, what do we have over in the Hocking?
Well, T, for the boys, the Federal Hocking Lancers finish atop the conference as the Hocking champions. Trimble and Belpre follow in 2nd and 3rd, while Southern stayed at the 4th spot, and South Gallia rounds out the top 5. Eastern and Waterford are at 6th and 7th, and lastly, Miller and Wahama finish the standings for the boys in the Hocking. And last but not least, the ladies in the Hocking. The Trimble Lady Tomcats have the Hocking crown and the top spot. Behind them in the 2nd and 3rd spots are Belpre and Waterford, and 4th and 5th and 6th remains Bedhawk, Miller, and Eastern. Finally, we have Wahama, South Gallia, and Southern to end the standings and our TVC update for the end of the regular season.
Now joining me in the paint, and I'm glad to have him back, is Nelsonville-York lead reporter Will Price.
It's a pleasure to finally join you in the paint tee, and that's where the North Adams Green Devils made their money on their way to a decisive victory over NY that put an end to the Buckeyes season. The Green Devils' dynamic duo down low, Austin McCormick and Cade Mead, combined for 38 points. They were too much for NY and pulled away in the second half as the Buckeyes' season came to an end after one game, 66-42.
Well, that's a tough way to end the season, but you can't say NY didn't go down without a fight.
Even as the game was well in hand for the Green Devils, the Buckeyes came down with the same intensity every single possession. Junior Joe Tomei ended the season with a 10-point performance, and senior Mikey Seal matched him on the scoreboard to finish out his career.
Always a hard goodbye for the seniors, and Seal was the leader of this Buckeye squad.
Head coach Blaine Gabriel said after the game he wishes he could have Seal and fellow senior starter Austin Thrapp back another year, and it's easy to see why. Even as NY had a double-digit losing streak this year, they rallied late in the year to win 3 of their last 5 games of the season. It wasn't always easy, but the Buckeyes' passion was on display each and every game, no matter what the scoreboard read. With the girls bowing out in the sectional final last Saturday, the boys and girls for NY are both out of the postseason. Both Coach Gabriel and girls head coach Bobby Cassidy can hang their hats on their team's ability to fight to the buzzer each and every night.
Well, that's definitely a coach's dream. Thanks for the great work, Will, and come back to talk some hoops with me more in the paint. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the digital age. Everyone has a smartphone and has social media, and if you aren't on social media, what are you doing? I can give you a suggestion of what you might want to do. And if you haven't done it by now, I'm pretty disappointed, but you can still follow us on Snapchat. Hardwood Heroes has some great content on our stories and some of the biggest games, especially throughout the playoffs. Our digital team has got all the action with score updates, interviews, and plenty of fan interaction. So if you want to check that out, follow Hardwood Heroes.
Though the Buckeye season may be over, it's a different story over in Reedsville. Dylan, you look like you're in a good mood.
Sam, when it comes to high school hoops, I have never been better. And you know why? My Eagles coasted through the first round of the playoffs, and we got another week of Eastern basketball coming down the pipeline. That's right. After a rocky week to end the regular season, Coach Kite and his boys were playing at full capacity as soon as they took the court against the Notre Dame Titans. And I gotta say, that first quarter was a spectacle. The Eagles scored 23 points in those opening minutes, which set the tone for the rest of the evening.
And Garrett Behringer has been a player to watch lately. How do you fare in the postseason?
You know I love to talk about G Money. And Wednesday, he stepped out of his comfort zone and beyond the arc, where he'd shoot 5 for 6, including that bucket at the first quarter buzzer. But I'd also hate to overshadow Colton Reynolds, who racked up 10 in the third quarter, including 2 steals converted to layups and a buzzer beater of his own. Reynolds' presence was key to helping Eastern outscore the Titans 14-1 in that third quarter. Ultimately, the Eagles' fast pace and collective-minded ball movement helped them find the shots that mattered, propelling them above Notre Dame 50-24.
So that begs the question, what's up next for Eastern?
They're taking on conference rival the Trimble Tomcats. However, the Tomcats are undefeated against the Eagles this season. A month back, they dominated that same matchup, nearly doubling Eastern's score. But nonetheless, if the Eagles can carry that energy we saw early Wednesday night, I see no reason they don't put up a good fight.
And that energy is exactly what sparks that crucial chemistry for the Eastern Eagles, as Eastern lead reporter Nick Veland finds out.
No I in team, a saying that goes as far back as the sport of basketball itself. But what makes a team have quality team chemistry? Some characteristics are a group that you can mess around with off the court, but be serious on it. It's knowing your teammates are there for you when you need them. But what makes the Eagles so special? Their team is a family. A family with the chemistry needed to win. A family that when individuals reach personal records, they say they'd rather have a team accomplishment instead. The Eagles are a family with one goal this season: cut down a net as a team.
As a collective group, they all want to climb that ladder and cut that net as a group, which as a coach, that's all you can really ask for, because they want to do it not only for Eastern, but they want to do it for each other.
Being stronger together is how they hope to make a run in the playoffs. But win or lose, the Eagles will be a band of brothers with a bond that can never be broken.
Postseason basketball is always so fun to talk about. Thanks, Eastern Squad, for your work.
I'm here with Federal Hocking reporter Joe Collins. Now, Joe, the Federal Hocking Lancers got a bye week because of their success. Is that correct?
You're right on the money, T. The TVC Hockey Champions were rewarded for all of their hard work in the regular season by getting the 4th seed in the Athens 1 district, and Wednesday night, they found out the unlucky team that has to face them. That team just so happens to be a conference rival, the Waterford Wildcats, a team the Lancers are very familiar with. These two have crossed paths twice this year. Both times the Lancers tamed the Cats, 71-47 and 77-50. While the Lancers got a much-deserved bye week, the Wildcats sunk their claws in the Southern and came away with a 5-point victory. Now these two will do battle once more. Tuesday the 25th, Wellston High School, 8 o'clock. The Lancers' quest for a state title begins.
My class and the class under us, we're full of tough-minded guys. We're full of tough-minded guys that just want to work hard and come out and execute. And I think that's what our upperclassmen right now are the reason we're here. We've been leading ever since we were 0-22, taking over in practices, leading the team, making sure everyone's going 100%.
This senior class won a combined 8 games through their first 3 seasons, including 0 their freshman year. This year, 18 wins. Coach Jonathan Thompson has always been in the driver's seat for this team, but the senior class has been the glue keeping this team together. T, it's safe to say this is a team of destiny.
I'm sure it looks that way, Joe. We'll be keeping an eye on the Lancer playoff run. I appreciate your time.
And now we're going to check in on the Athens Bulldogs, who took on a solid Marietta team that broke their hearts in the regular season, beating Athens 70-68. Joey Medor was there in Logan, and Joey, you got to see the Bulldogs get their revenge this time around.
Well, I tried to tell everyone all last week saying that Athens was going to take down the Tigers, and they blitzed the Tigers, taking them down 62-36 victory, and the formula was quite simple. Athens, being undersized, went to a zone defense and forced Marietta to shoot their way out of it, and they simply couldn't do it, as they shot just 3 for 24 from behind the arc.
So several good performances in this one for the Bulldogs, but it sounded like Braden Markin stood out from the pack.
I'm not trying to call out T or anything, but if this kid doesn't win Hero of the Week, the award tainted. Biggest game of the year, Markins dropped 22 points, grabbed 10 boards with 7 assists. If that wasn't enough, he shot 75% from the field. T, don't let me down, bro. Markins gave us the insight on how Athens locked down Marietta afterwards.
We're getting buckets and getting that press in. They're starting to get a little scared and going too fast for what they were supposed to be, and we just got them out of what they wanted to do.
So it sounds like there were some good vibes in the Plains then.
They got even better Friday night. Athens took on the 14-seed New Lexington, fresh off an upset win over Sheridan, but the clock struck midnight for Cinderella as Athens cut down some nylon as the sectional champs for the second straight season. The team was lethal from deep, going a scorching 60% as they led from the first quarter on. Kozark got a bit of a photo bomb when we interviewed him after the game.
Well, I mean, we have a pretty good program. I mean, guys believe, and they come out and they work hard, and they goof around a little bit, and they have fun.
So Athens on to the Convo as they will take on the winner of the Jackson and Loganell matchup. As you can see, both teams won decisively in their first playoff matchup. I would give the edge to Jackson in this game, but we all know in tournament time it only takes one bad night and your season is over. We've already seen upsets in this bracket so far this season. Jackson and Logan Elm play at Southeastern to determine who will take on the Dogs in their own backyard. Athens has not played Logan Elm this season. They battled Jackson late in the regular season. They took one on the chin, losing 87-57.
Well, I'm sure you're thrilled about that short trip to cover that one. Can't wait to see how they fare this season. Thanks, Joey.
This week, the Trimble boys finished out their regular season by playing some rescheduled games against the Miller Falcons and the Southern Tornadoes. I have Trimble reporter Lexi Lepoff here with me, and let's jump right into it. Lexi, how did Trimble do this week?
Well, T, these boys are definitely heading into the playoff season on a good note after this week of wins. On Thursday, the Tomcats took the Miller Falcons 65-58. Then on Friday, they defeated Southern. The Tomcats struggled the first half of the game, shooting 8 for 25, but the second half was a completely different story. The Tomcats came out of the locker room ready to roll and secured the win 63-46. Blake Guffey dropped 26 points and Braden Weber chipped in 14. The Trimble Tomcats are definitely looking to make a nice run in the playoffs this year, and it all tips off this Wednesday against Eastern.
And how should we expect to see that game, Lexi?
Both regular season matchups were taken by the Tomcats, so the future is looking all red and white for Trimble. Coach Jeff Coons talked to us about how they are preparing for the game.
Have a lot of work to do. We always have to get better with every practice. Hard work pays off. Eastern has a very good team. They're well-rounded, good big guys, good guards, and they know how to play basketball.
Okay, now we could go on and on about the boys, but we got to hear about the girls. What's going on with them, Lexi?
This past Saturday, the Lady Tomcats had their first postseason matchup of the year versus Southern. Trimble came out victorious with a final of 68-46 to become sectional champions. The Lady Tomcats continue to make history as this is their first sectional title since 2010.
Now that's impressive. How did Trimble match up against Southern?
The Lady Tomcats dominated the game all around. Trimble shot 43% from the field, opposed to Southern's 31%. Beyond the arc, they outshot Southern by 14%. From the charity stripe, the Tomcats shot a modest 77%, but the Tornadoes fell short, shooting only 55% from the line. Jane Six definitely pulled her weight. She had a double-double with 20 points and 18 rebounds. Brianna Osborne also helped pave the way to the title by dropping 19 points. This is a young team with a lot of potential. Regardless of the playoff results, this team will continue to impress. The Lady Tomcats took on Glenwood this Saturday, but the game has not been played yet at the time of this recording. So for coverage of that game, go check out our website at woub.org/heroes and all of our social media pages.
It will be exciting to see how that game plays out and the rest of the season for both Tomcats. Thanks for your hard work, Lexi.
After a very strong finish to the regular season, Trent, the Marauders kicked off the postseason on Wednesday against Portsmouth West.
Meigs laid down the law on the Senators with a win of 55-38. The Marauders traveled to Jackson in hopes to keep their hot streak alive. They've won 7 of their last 8 games, and with a dominant win over the Senators, they showed no signs of slowing down.
So what was the Marauders' key to success in order to help them prevail over Portsmouth West?
With Weston Bear suffering from a shoulder injury, the remainder of the Marauders had the tall task of filling the role of Meg's all-time leading scorer. Coulter Cleveland didn't shy away from the challenge and had himself a night. He took over with 10 seconds to go in the half and put the Marauders in the lead with an and one and then a stealing inbounds pass, which led to a 3. The 6-point swing was just a snapshot of Cleveland's impressive 28-point, 8-rebound performance.
Trent, do you see Bear's injury being problematic for the Marauders in the playoff run at all?
The Marauders don't rely on one player. Wyatt Hoover made his presence known in the paint with 10 points and 6 rebounds, and even though Bear wasn't 100%, he still managed to put up 10 points. I caught up with Coach Hill after the game. He talked about the team's effort.
Man show. We can never be a successful ball club being a one-man show. Tonight, Weston had some troubles with his shooting and things. I don't know if it was the shoulder injury, but for whatever reason, he struggled a little bit. Everybody else got to pick up. And not only does everybody else have to pick up, but Weston has to take care of them in other ways. He did that tonight. Colder. Anybody in the state of Ohio, that I think in Division III down here in Southeastern Ohio, that can defend him and keep him from going to the hole. He went to the hole and had much success at it. Then Wyatt Hoover stepped up, got some big boards for us. So all in all, total team effort. We're going to go on to the next one and see if we can wreak some havoc in the sectional final.
The Marauders, obviously took that game, Sam, and moving on, Weston Bear obviously hurt, unfortunately, but he's going to heal up soon. We didn't get to see their game Saturday, unfortunately, so we're going to have to see on social media. You check that out.
Yeah, thank you so much for the update, Trent. YouTube has 2 billion active users worldwide, and I personally think each and every single one of them should check out the WOUB PBS YouTube page for a ton of Hardwood Heroes content. You can find individual game recaps from the TVC matchups throughout the week that include highlights, coach and player interviews, and a reporter's breakdown and analysis of the game. Plus, you could find full episodes of Hardwood Heroes. What could be better than that? So be sure to head to the WOUB PBS YouTube page for all of the Hardwood Heroes content you could ever ask for.
And we're back in the paint for one last time with the Alexander Spartans lead reporter, Claire Geary.
Thanks, T. It was an exciting week and bittersweet for the Spartans. Both the squads made it into the playoffs. We're right. The girls traveled west and the boys traveled south. Let's take a closer look at what happened. The Spartans' home away from home this week was Jackson High School, where they played Adena Warriors. The Spartans struggled during the first 8 minutes with only a basket to their name by the end of the first quarter, but that did not stop them from coming back.
The Spartans plowed over Adena during the second half by outscoring them 17-5, making the score at halftime 19-15.
But T, the game got real interesting once halftime was over and the second half began.
And what happened there?
Well, to start things off, Alexander started to slip up with missed shots and multiple fouls that Adena took advantage of, making the end of the third quarter 27-29 in the Warriors' favor.
Well, that doesn't sound too bad.
Well, that might not be bad, but at the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter, the Spartans were fouled and head coach Jim Kearns was not happy about it. It led him to being ejected from the game, including fans as well, and the Warriors used their momentum to win the game with technical and foul shots at the end of the night.
This was definitely not how fans expected the season to end.
You're exactly right, T.
Now, with an eventful week for the boys, what happened with the girls?
The girls traveled to play Waverly, the #1 seed, Eastern Brown, in the district semifinals. The Lady Spartans were ready for action on the Hardwood Thursday night with a goal in mind to take down Eastern Brown. With being the first seed in the tournament, Eastern Brown had shooters from outside that the Spartans were looking to tackle.
And they did exactly that in the second quarter by holding Eastern Brown to only 1 point.
Not only did they hold them to 1 point, T, but let's take a look at sophomore Marley Grinstead's mean block to let Eastern Brown know Alexander wasn't going anywhere anytime soon.
We challenged them because our whole thing was to not give up open threes. We were working our butt off to not give up open threes, and we did that in the first quarter. We give up open threes.
After a halftime score of 13-7, the Spartans started to be outplayed.
Yes, and unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and the 23 team reigned victorious as the Spartans fell 46-29. The team ended their season 16-9. Congratulations to both the girls and the boys squads on a spectacular season.
We'll be looking forward to more in-depth look at that team next week. Thanks, Claire.
Have you ever wanted to find all of our Hardwood Heroes content in one convenient app? Of course you have. So open up Twitter right now and give Hardwood Heroes a follow. After we cover our games throughout the week, we'll post final scores, video recaps, articles, and photos from basketball games across the TVC. Our reporters are always tweeting out updates from the stands, and our digital team makes the best final score graphics in town. So for all of that great content and so much more, be sure to follow @Hardwood Heroes on Twitter. The Spartans have definitely held on to their momentum, but there's one team that has struggled to do so this season, and that would be the Vinton County Vikings. VC reporter Hardika Singh is here to break down their playoff game.
Absolutely, Sam. The Vikings had a tough time keeping their feet on the ground. It was a physical matchup for the Vikings in their first playoff game against the Warren Warriors Wednesday night. The Vikings' turnover was one of the biggest reasons for their loss 64-44 against the Warriors. Thus, Warriors' size allowed them to get more offensive rebounds than the Vikings. Coach Matt Combs says the team's size has been a problem the whole year.
Quite frankly, I mean, it's prevented us from playing against some of the elite level competition that we play against. And,
Only in his second year of full varsity play, junior Lance Montgomery led the battle for the Vikings. With 2 quick layups in the second quarter, Montgomery closed the 7-point gap between the Warriors and the Vikings. The Vikings picked up their momentum toward the end of the fourth quarter, but it was too little and too late. The Vikings' last hurrah will be senior night game on Monday against the Meigs Marauders.
Well, even though the boys' season ended early and struggled a bit, the girls are still going strong.
Yes, Sam. The Lady Vikings, on the other hand, have earned themselves a spot in the district finals. Things started heating up Wednesday night in Logan when the Lady Vikings faced off against the Unioto Shermans. The fouls on both sides added up quickly, and then the 2 crowd ejections from the game further heated things up. Sophomore Tegan Bartow had a night to herself. Bartow helped give the Lady Vikings a lead of 9-4 early on. And with a total of 7 points during the night, it was clear that the Vikings were not going back home defeated this time. The last time both the teams faced off each other was back in December. Both the teams were 17-1, so it was no surprise that both were ready to fight until the last second, especially with the trip to the district finals in sight.
Intense. I mean, those are a bunch of prideful kids over there, and they play hard, so it was a good game over there, and we're comfortable in that environment. I mean, we talk about being Viking tough, and that's what we feel like we are. So that's just another day in the park for us. We enjoy those type of games.
The Lady Vikes marched forward on the battle line as they won 53-46. They will now face off against the number 1 seed Circleville Tigers in district finals on Wednesday.
I can't wait to see how the Lady Vikings perform on Wednesday night. Thanks, Hardika.
Thanks, Sam.
Benjamin Franklin once said, either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. And I couldn't agree more with you, Benji. And our reporters have more than enough written content that's worth your time. We have the info you need with recaps of your favorite teams in the playoffs. So go ahead and make your way over to our webpage and visit woub.org/heroes if you want to take a closer look at these games with more in-depth reporting and see what reporters and coaches had to say. Then our website is your destination. That's woub.org/heroes. We always love seeing what the Lady Vikings are up to, and we might even hear more about them in our Hero of the Week segment.
Yeah, maybe, but that is a little bit later, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start with the boys' hero of the week.
Well, Athens squad can fret no more. My boys' hero of the week is Braden Markins. When playoff time is here, it's important to put on your best performance, give it your best effort, and help your team survive and advance. That's precisely what Markins did this week in the first 2 rounds in the playoffs for the Athens Bulldogs. Markins has been incredibly efficient for the Bulldogs this season. Though the team's roster doesn't run as deep, they've been able to put together a remarkable season with Markins in the backcourt, ultimately becoming the TVC Ohio champions for the 2nd year in a row. And what's not like about this kid? The senior, he's got everything you want out of a solid 2 guard. He's got great court vision, which keeps him surveying the court for the best open play, and he knows how to take what the defense gives him. On top of that, he's got a quick first step and explodes to the rim to finish strong. He just makes it look so easy. And I almost forgot about that deadly pull-up jumper of his. He can turn up the speed and stop on a dime. It's straight water. Markins has been nothing shy of heroic this past week, pouring it on Tuesday in Athens' first-round game against Marietta. I'm talking big boy figures right here, 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists, a near triple-double that night. And when the Bulldogs advanced to play New Lex on Friday, he added 14 points, 5 boards to Athens' 61-50 victory. The Bulldogs have faced a bit of adversity this season, but their seniors like Markins have kept their heads on straight, and they've allowed them to get the job done. Right now, the Bulldogs are starting to make a nice run in the playoffs, and with the numbers he's putting up, Athens has an opportunity to turn this momentum into something really special.
Another great pick, T. The Bulldogs definitely have their work cut out for them, but having Markins on the team will go a long way. I know the Athens supporters are really hoping you'd go with Markins this week.
For sure, it's all they would talk to me about, but after seeing his performance this week, how could I not pick him? He had a great week and always plays a big role in the Bulldogs' success. And I know you had a tough choice this week too, so who'd you go for with Girls Hero of the Week?
T, you don't know? I had to go with Tegan Bartow. She's a sophomore on the Vinton County Lady Vikings. Like all of our previous Girls Hero of the Weeks, she's young. But the Lady Vikings trust her leadership, ball handling, and communication on the court. In their last playoff game against Unioto, the Lady Vikings won 53-46, and Bartow played a huge role in their success. She always sets the tone for Vinton County and comes out strong in the first quarter. Against Unioto, she put up 15 points, 7 of which were within the team's first 9 points. She also closed out that game with 4 straight made free throws, and against Nelsonville-York earlier in the season, Bartow had an impressive stat line. She had 16 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, and 3 steals. This girl is tough to beat. Her fiery and intense nature on the court helps her drive to the basket and create open three-point shots. She can definitely keep up with Coach Rod Bentley's intensity. Vinton County lead reporter Jacob Murray says Bartow is always looking to put up points, but her #1 goal is to work as a team and win the ball game. She is definitely a huge reason why Vinton County's offense is so unstoppable.
Yeah, those girls are going to be tough to beat. I can't wait to see what they can do moving forward.
Me too, and I know that our Vinton County reporters are very excited to keep up with the Lady Vikings playoff push.
Yeah, well, we'll have updates on their progress on our social media pages and the show next week.
Yeah, and speaking of episode 7, I'm kind of at a loss for how to end this show.
Well, Sam, as Post Malone says, I'm no good at goodbyes, and I think that applies to us. We would keep talking about high school basketball all day long.
Yeah, that is true. I wish we could keep talking, but I'm pretty sure your quote sums up the ending of the show this week. I'm your host, Sam Wiesnath, alongside my excellent co-host, T. Willis, and as always, we're reminding you to be heroic.
And before we go, we're just going to play a few of our top plays from the last 2 weeks, so check these out right here.
Marcus.